He's a dynamic international instructor, speaker, and educator of martial arts. He studied and taught martial arts for over 40 years, and he's the founder of Seibukan Jujutsu. Torbio Kancho holds high ranks in various martial arts, Jujutsu, Aikido, Ninjutsu, Batojutsu, and Karate. He has worked extensively in developing effective methods of instruction for law enforcement, adults, teenagers, and disabled individuals in self-protection and personal growth. He's the director of Monterey Budokan and Seibukan Jujutsu headquarters in Monterey, California. And his art form is taught worldwide, and he just came back from a trip in Europe teaching to leaders this art form. So thank you so much for being with us today, Julio, and would like you to just tell us about your journey. I mean, how did you get from, where you were the U.S. Special Forces to being this leader for peace and healing?
Thank you, Lori. It's just such a great honor to be here with you, and I had the joy of listening to you introduce twice a meditation about Earth, and I just want to tell you, even though everyone was on hold, the first time you went through, I felt so special that you got me into tears, because I just felt so connected to the planet, felt so connected to the Earth, and I got to understand even deeper my intention in the direction that I'm going. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank all the listeners that are out there, because my journey is actually, it can be described as happiness. I am here right now, and that means I can tell the story. That means I survived, and that's just such a great feeling to have, that I'm able to tell the story in the most clear way that I can. When I go back to the time when I was a child, I just want to tell you that I had a lot of intuition, and there was always feelings. And I remember as far as 8 years old when I had intuitions that I started creating little things, like I wanted to be a movie director at one point. So I have all these little cartoons drawing, and I created a projector, and I invited a whole bunch of kids from the neighborhood, and I say, come and watch this movie. And what I had was a whole bunch of papers, different cartoons that I drew in paper, and I just wanted to show it to them. For some reason, they would laugh. And I go, wow, that's really cool. And I put a candle sometime behind the paper so we can see images. And so I knew from that time that I can gather a group of people and share something. At that time, it didn't have much meaning, I don't think. But now when I look back and going, my goodness, I am still doing the same thing in a different way. Yes. So when I think of martial arts, at the age of 13, that's when everything started for me, because I was struggling of being challenged by bullies at school. And that was something that I knew it needed to stop somehow. I just got tired of having these bullies come over and ask me for lunch, take my money, punch me in the stomach, take my breath away, many times punch me on the face, and I will freeze. I mean, I completely will freeze. I will not know what to do with these people. So that was really hard. One day, during that time, I think I was age of 12, and one of my friends, after I got really hurt, he said, Julio, come over. I'd like you to learn martial arts, because I believe that that's going to help you. I just looked at him, and I had this deep intuition. Something happened in my heart at that moment that I didn't feel scared just to start this martial arts, not really understanding what it was. But obviously he explained to me that I was learn how to protect myself, and that was a real need. So I started in my martial arts at that time, knowing that I had a war going on inside of my brain constantly, that I want to be a winner. One day I want to win one of these fights. One day I want to actually protect myself against these people. And at the same time, why do we have to hurt each other? I keep asking myself that question. So I began my journey as a martial artist at that time, and I tell you, it took me a year of discipline and really being focused with a great teacher. And a year later, when I was 13, I had one encounter that I never forget, which is I was playing basketball, and one of the kids, bigger kids than me, like 16, they just pushed me really hard, and I hit my head against the pole of the basket. And I hurt myself, and I turned around, and I looked at the guy, and he wanted to do it again, I can tell. Then I looked down, and it was an umbrella, a beautiful umbrella, black umbrella, wrapped, really nice and neat and tied. Something intuitively said to me, grab it. So I follow, and I grab it. So I grabbed the umbrella, picked it up, turned around, the guy sees me, and now he really gets upset because he's thinking that I'm going to use it, and in my mind I'm saying, I don't know what to do with this, but maybe I will use it. So my intuition say, use it if he comes any closer. Lori, that was so amazing. This guy, whatever intuition he had, which was more like the bully mentality, he came closer to me to come to push me and saying certain things that was inappropriate for me to even hear. And as he's just about to touch my body, I made a move, and for the first time I was able to not freeze. I made a move, I used this umbrella, and I tell you, I have never let out emotions the way that I did, and never used my body the way that I did by using this umbrella, unfortunately, against this guy. Everybody else around me froze because they knew Julio was not that way. And I never told anybody that I was doing martial arts either. So anyway, I just really, unfortunately, hurt this guy bad. And I felt this incredible release of emotions that I'm going, I cannot believe this. And then somebody came and grabbed me, somebody grabbed the other guy, and I said, okay, let me go, it's okay, I don't need to fight anymore. And, somehow they listened to me, they let me go, and the moment that they let me go, the emotions came in again, and I went at it, and I started beating this guy again. And it's like I was out of control for a moment. But I think it was just an amazing, amazing release that is it's not something that I teach my children and teachers and students today, but I tell you, it was a moment that it gave me ideas that I could be much greater than who I thought I was. And that was just really, really the beginning. That was the beginning of learning how to become a martial artist and start helping other kids. And I remember when I got my yellow belt, and immediately when I got my yellow belt, I decided to teach, even though my teacher said you cannot teach, but I gathered something like 20 kids in the neighborhood in the back of a gas station, and I say, come here, I teach you for free. And they asked me, well, what kind of uniform? And I said, just bring your pajamas, anything. Yeah, if you can imagine, 20 kids in pajamas and shorts, and I was the only one with this yellow belt thinking that like I was a big Top Gun, something like that. But they were listening to me. And I started to teach discipline at that time. And that gave me the ideas that I could be a teacher. So that served me. And that was my first lessons, I remember, of being a teacher at that time. And I knew I can help many, many people. So now we're talking about 42 years ago. That's a long time. So what I did was, when I was about 18, 19, I joined the military because I felt that I was really not in trouble, but I needed some confidence. I went to medical school for 3 years before that, from the age of 16 all the way until 18, because I graduated early in high school, and I finished my pre-med, and then I needed to make a decision to become a doctor or do something else. Then I realized, Lori, that being a doctor was something that my parents and other people will say to me, oh, you're going to be a great doctor, especially my family. They will say, oh, you're going to be the doctor of the family. So they put that in my head, but I got to tell you something. my heart never said that I was going to be a doctor. So I studied for 3 years pre-med, pleasing all these people. And I know, I felt it. I will feel it every day that we go to the classroom. And I say, I'm going to be doing something else, but definitely it's no medicine. But I kept doing it anyway so I can please my parents. So I graduated from pre-med, and I got accepted in medical school. So then I said, okay, I'm going to take a break. And I did. I took a break for the summer, and I went to visit my uncle that he was living in Boston, Massachusetts, and that was for the first time I came to the United States, and I'm talking about Puerto Rico. That's what I was. I was in Puerto Rico. I was raised in Puerto Rico. And then I came to the United States, and I met my uncle and spent the summer with him, and I didn't know that he was an Army recruiter. Oh, wow. So he brought some movies of people jumping out of airplanes and doing missions and just having a lot of fun physical activities. And that just took my imagination somehow because I was connected to my martial arts. No understanding that I was getting into learning how to be a soldier, how to learn the art of war. And then, so I joined, and they put me into a very intense training, and I learned a lot about the art of war. And I realized that I had a war before I came to learn about the art of war. I realized that I have a lot of conflict inside of me of many people telling me what to do or what not to do, and I was listening more to somebody else's than listening to myself. And that's something that I feel that I have gratitude while I was in the military, because even though I was training constantly and becoming an elite soldier, I became an airborne ranger in the United States Army, which is a very elite soldier. During that time, it just gave me time to think about myself and to do a lot of training and to do different missions that I knew I needed to come out as a winner so I can survive. And I wanted to survive. And I tell you, between my intention and my intuition, those two things kept me going. My intention was always to survive and come back and be a great soldier and do well. But I also knew intuitively that that wasn't going to be a job that I will have for the rest of my life. Even thought many soldiers said to me, my goodness, you can be the greatest soldiers, you can be a general. And I said, oh, thank you very much. But my intuition, once again, keeps saying, I don't want to be a general. It was the same story of being a doctor. It's just like, okay, I can be this, but that's not what I want. I just somehow needed to have that experience. It's like being in the right place and at the right time and learn the skills, serve the country, do the best that I can be, and just learn that, have that experience. So from the art of war that I did for 4 years, I made a shift. I say, okay, now I have an opportunity to re-enlist, to stay in the military, but let's do something different. Let's go into the healing department. So through that, I became a nurse, and then after that I became a physical therapist. And I did an incredible healing time for 8 years after that. So that was a total of 12 years that I spent in the military. And I was just really fortunate and lucky, I guess, that they sent me from a place that I was in North Carolina to California. And instead of sending me to war to be a healer because I became a combat medic, instead of becoming a combat medic and sending me to war, they sent me to a hospital. And I'm going, wow, there is a huge guy that is looking at me all the time. There is a divine force that is with me. And I just do prayers many times. And gratitude was one of the things that I always have, because number one is I survived for those first 4 years, and then they sent me to these wonderful schools, and I met a lot of people, and I was able to support people in healing on what they needed to do in their lives. And for me, that was one of the most beautiful experiences that I had. And I saw that I went from understanding this art of war and to learning how to destroy to becoming a healer and contributing to the planet in a much different way which I feel that is the biggest way that we can actually make any contribution, is through healing.
Don't you feel it's interesting that you went from, the art of war to the art of healing? This is the nature, though, of our physical existence, is we experience duality, and the opposite ends of things, right? The polarity of things. And, I would venture to say that, your understanding of the art of war and the depth of understanding really enabled you to have the balance on the other side as well. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agreed. It's something that gave me strength that I didn't know that existed. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I continue to apply today.
Yeah, that's just fantastic. And you are obviously very in tune with yourself and your intuition and your guidance. And, you have to be in order to take the journey that you had, where you had absolutely probably no idea, when you're at a young age, that you would be doing what you're doing now to the extent and degree that you're doing now, that, you're traveling around the world and teaching people something really that you created. What a wonderful, wonderful position to be in, really. And I would venture to say it's because you are so gifted at following your guidance. We've talked before, and I just love, the piece that you shared about how what you have created is teaching you. And I'd love for you to talk about that, about specifically how you gain more mastery in your life. And, the 7 gates of wisdom that you discovered and that you are now teaching others, if you wouldn't mind telling us about that.
Yeah, no, I'll be glad to tell you about that. So just going back to the martial arts, this has been an incredible journey for me, something that it really gave me what I want. I feel like I am living my dreams right now, and that's really what I want. So I actually went from this healing arts of physical therapy, then I decided to just go into martial arts. I realized that I had a talent there, and I had to really face my fears. And that's something that I learned, that if I continue to face my fears, I will be able to make it to the place where I wanted to go. And that's what I am right now. Some of the things that I have learned through this fantastic martial art that I discovered, that is called Seibukan Jiu-Jitsu, is 3 things. One is awareness, assessment, and action. And these are things that came to me through meditation. And it came to me because I was being pushed. Before I created this martial art that I started 18 years ago, I have been a martial artist, as you already know. So I trained with really incredible teachers in Japan and in other places here in the United States. And I did. I was confronted by many teachers. And the tradition was something that was always, I questioned. I questioned the tradition. I questioned why people stay doing the same thing over and over. So I learned that the tradition could keep you in the past all the time, and you will be serving somebody else, but you're not really serving yourself. So it doesn't tap into the creativity that we have. So what I did was I kept listening. I learned my discipline through the tradition. I follow, but I realized that the way that they were using time, for example, it was always to hold somebody back, not to be really creative, not to be able to come up with new ideas. It was more somebody else's ideas or ideas that existed already in the past. And that had to do with even my own ranks. People held me back in many ways because they were afraid. So once again, the combination of fear and this tradition feeling of living the past, it just kept being passed on. And I say, well, that's not what I want to pass on. I want the world to continue to evolve in good ways. I want people to tap into new ways of being. Be creative. Be who you are. Listen to your heart. Have your intuition and turn your intuition into intention and keep going to see what happens. Because it will always be something new in our planet. And I'm going to ask you this question, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
What is the percentage? What is the percentage that we use our brain? You probably have heard things like this before, that we use so much percentage. Do you know?
Because it's very low, something like 5 or 10%, if that. I don't know. So it's very, very low. That I know. You tell us.
Okay,
So.
that's
yeah.
Well, that's good. So when you hear that, immediately I feel limited. And if you ask me, ask me, how much percentage of my brain I use? You tell me. Ask me that question.
Oh, how much of what percentage of your brain do you use, Julio?
Well, since you said it's from 6 to 10%, I use 11 to 13%. I go a little bit further, only because I just heard what you said. Yeah, exactly. If I listen to you, then all of a sudden I'm going, oh, that's what I use, 6 to 10%. But what about if I'm using 11 to 13%, and it's something else that is out there? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes what we listen is always creating some kind of limitation in ourselves. And I refuse to completely put that into my system because I know it's going to slow me down. And there's something that I live my life by. I say, I want to see the invisible constantly. I want to see things that I have never seen before. I want to explore. And I want to do that every day in everything that I do. I want to see things that I want my students to show me things that I never seen before. I want to discover things that I never discovered before. So I'm constantly looking for the invisible. The second thing that I do is that I want to feel the intangible. And the way that I do that is constantly saying, well, let me feel. Let me feel what you're talking about. Or let me feel your body. Let me see how you do that. So I get to experience it. So it's not about just telling somebody how to do something, but it's also allowing my body to feel how do you do something. And when I do that, then I get to experience the intangible. And I want to feel that. And the last thing is that I promise to myself that I will create the impossible. But now I know that's a really bold statement. It's like, how do you create the impossible? Well, I'm going to tell you that. The impossible is, to me, only the way that we see things. The way that we see things is limited to what is possible. The impossible is the next step. And then looking forward to that. I'm looking to that next step. Something that we haven't seen before. Something that we haven't created before. Something that we haven't felt before. And to me, that is creating the impossible. I give you an example. Somebody says to me, Julio, how do you do that? That right there tells you something. That they don't think or they don't know how that was created. Now, for me, it's not that it looks simple, but it looks like I can do it, and I feel that I can do it. So for me, it's possible, but then for that individual, when they ask me the question, how do you do that? It seems like it's impossible to them. So then what I do is I find my ways to teach them how to do that. And I don't keep any secrets. Most of my teachers, they all kept secrets. And they say in a whispering way, don't pass that on to anyone. Just keep that to yourself. And then I say, thank you very much, but I'm not going to die with this. What about if I'm gone? Yeah, I want somebody to know. I want somebody to know this. I don't tell them right on their face, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm going, anytime somebody tells me I have a secret for you, of course I listen to it, but I wanted to know, what are they talking about? Because I believe that there is no secret. It's only knowledge. There's only knowledge. And those are things that I have learned over and over. If you're scared, there's something that you don't know. I think of the word determination, something that who we are in the planet Earth. We're determined to survive. I know that. A way before that, we were determined to walk, so we did. When we were kids, most of us, if we don't have any kind of limited mobility, any kind of limitations in our extremities, then you're determined to walk. Yeah, so determination is included in our package. But two things are not included, and you have to search for. One is knowledge, and the other one is practice. And if you are able to get the knowledge from anyone, because that's what we're here for, to help each other. We're helping each other to become students and to become leaders. And we do that through knowledge and then through practice. The determination is in there. And the determination is part of your intention. So if my intention is to make it, I got to find the knowledge somehow. And once I find the knowledge, I got to practice. Don't pretend. As a leader, I cannot pretend. I have to practice. You got to find a way. You got to take action, effective action, constantly. And in the process of taking effective action, you're going to face your fears. It's scary sometimes.
Julio, if I could interrupt you for a second, it's just that it's so on target, with the opening of the call about taking effective action. How do you determine what effective action is? How do you determine what the best course of action to take is and when to take it? Could you talk about that?
Sure, yeah. Well, before I take any kind of effective action, I'm understanding that concept, I have to go back to the roots. And the roots will be, do you have a goal in mind? Do you have a dream? And you got to know that dream. So I remember at one point of my life that I say, I want to be a great martial artist. I remember that. And then I said, well, how am I going to do that? So I asked myself that question. So then what came up is that I better have a plan of how to do that. And then I learned that I need to study with great teachers. In order for me to have that dream, I have to find great teachers, people that know exactly what they're talking about, people that have credentials. And I research their credentials. And then the third step is to believe. Faith has a lot to do with this. You have to believe. And what I mean by that is you believe first and then you see it. Most people, they do it the other way around. They need to see it, and then they believe it. And I say, that's the old way. What are you talking about? No. I don't have. Yeah, just like, what do you mean? No. It's the other way. You gotta feel it. You gotta believe it. You have to have this image in your mind. Once again, we have a brain here that has been given to us that I need to have gratitude for that. Therefore, I want to exercise it, and I do it by faith. I do it by believing that I'm going to create something in my mind, and then all of a sudden I will manifest it somehow. Yeah. And then I know that once I know that I'm getting closer to take effective action, well, how am I going to do that? Well, I know that from believing to take an effective action, there is a bridge here, and that is how you confront your fears.
Okay.
Yeah, and that little step of feeling your fears and sharing that with somebody, let them know what's going on. Process that with someone. Talk about it. Not just think about it, talk about it, and then do something about it. Facing your fears constantly. Look at it. Put it in paper. And say to yourself, okay, I got to go through this. I can do it. I have nothing to lose. Nothing. When you face your fears, you have nothing to lose. Yes. And then the next step to what we're talking about, which is taking effective action. And effective action is connected to doing something every day about your dream. Doing something every day about the plan that you made. And that's how it continued to go, and that's how we continue to grow. So I believe that my growth today, which is connected also to my passion, that in order for me to align the way that I think and the way that I move, it's all connected to having a dream and constantly taking effective action with those three steps in between. And that's how I created the 7 gates. I'm not sure we have time for that, but I'd be glad to tell you just a little bit about that briefly.
Yeah, no, I think that's really great. I mean, you have to, because it's really the next step, So yes, I'd welcome you to do that.
Yeah, so just briefly, just to tell you about the 7 gates. These are gates that are connected to nature, first of all. I believe in nature. I believe in this incredible planet that we have. I believe in the elements. And if we start with the 4 elements, which is fire, water, earth, and wind. Just think about those elements, how fire can destroy, but also how fire can give life. Just in order for you to have a really good meal, you need to have the best fire. Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so every time somebody gives you a really good meal, Lori, it's important for us to say thank you for those that made it, because they made something so powerful and so good, so delicious, because they have just the right amount of fire to make this happen.
Mm.
And that's one of the elements. And that fire also was the first thing that happened in our life when we were born, actually, to get the heart going, a little impulse that got the heart going in our nervous system. So to me, I have a deep appreciation. That was my first beat, and hopefully I'm going to keep it going for a while because I have in mind 108 years, and I know I'm limiting myself. But, that's plenty for now, for this lifetime. So right now I feel like a kid. I'm halfway there, but, I'm on my way. The second stage or the second gate is water, and water is just such a powerful, as you already know, element that I feel that when we connect with water, we can understand acceptance, we can understand flow, we can understand adaptability, and that makes us just be more and more human and have better communication and have better relationship with people. I think that if we learn how to accept a little bit more and then flow with the feelings that we have, and then adapt to those feelings, adapt to that, because sometimes adaptability is about learning. Yes. So I think that we can move on. So water is something that is an element that, as we know, exists in our body, exists outside of our body, which is all the beautiful water that we see all the time, and also exists underneath in Mother Earth. Mother Earth has so much water inside, so I feel that we are a copy of Mother Earth in a sense. And because Mother Earth has also this element, there is fire down there, there is water down there, there is earth, and then there is wind. All that creates the Earth to be this very tight planet that we have, that I personally call it the void. That's what I call this planet. And the third stage that we go through is Earth. And I call it Earth because this is our bone structure, what we have inside of us. That's our ground. That's how we hold on to it. As I was listening to meditation, I really connected to Earth, and I say, okay, this is a great day, and it's wonderful to talk to this wonderful lady and to have other people listening in other parts of the world in the United States. So I'm really happy about that. So through Earth, I learned about patience, I learned about my inner strength, and I also learned about commitment. And when I think about becoming a leader, the way that I have become a leader, a lot has to do with my commitment, Lori. It has to do with not just wanting to be a leader, because that's not enough. And for those leaders that are listening out there, I just telling you, it's not about wanting to be a leader, and it's not even about choosing to be a leader, because we're going to fail. That means we feel a little bit insecure when you want to and when you choose to. But then there is a deeper level of understanding of how to become a leader so you can make it and nothing gets in your way, and that's commitment. So when you commit to be a leader, something happens that the universe gets everything out of the way for you to manifest what you need to manifest and make it happen and have the beautiful opportunities that you're going to receive in order for you to become the powerful leader that you're always asking to be.
Mm.
Yes, and then we move to the fourth. Yeah, we move to the fourth gate, and this fourth gate is about the wind. And to be in the wind, oh my goodness, this is about understanding flexibility. This is about understanding our spirituality, who we are, truly who we are inside, and our connection to faith, to our own belief, and also our sensitivity for others. This is where compassion comes in when we act like the wind. So these four elements makes the fourth gate. The first one was understanding fire. The second one is becoming like water. The third one is practicing earth. And the fourth one is acting like the wind. When you combine those four elements that I know I have it inside of me, I have it outside of me because I see it all the time, from a huge fire to a tsunami to an earthquake to a windstorm, all that is natural and is out there. and also all that exists underneath the planet, inside of the planet. Then all that in combination creates what is called the fifth gate, and that is the void. And that's about feeling your power. And that's connected to presence, it's connected to personal power, and it's also connected to what I call emptiness, the ability to learn, constantly learning. You asked me before about presence. Do you want to know about presence?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yes, because any great leader, one main quality of a great leader is presence. So absolutely want to hear about presence.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because from the moment that you step on stage, that has to be present. and then all of a sudden you're not nervous anymore. But before we are, or before we're going to take some kind of active action, which is we know that we're going to be a little bit nervous, and that is good, but I believe when you face your fears pretty quickly and acknowledge that, then you go beyond that, and then you're in the presence right away, meaning you are in this moment right now. The past is not going to get in the way, and definitely you're not going to jump in the future thinking of what you're going to look like and all that. You have to get rid of those two things. So to have presence is to be in this moment right now, not allowing the history, which is the past, or the mystery, which is the future, that doesn't exist, to interfere with this beautiful moment, because you're living the gift. You're living what has been given to you. And I think that that's going to give you a deeper understanding of what is presence. So, and that creates, to me, a great leader, right from the very beginning. It's understanding the word yes.
Yes.
Yes, understanding that word. Understanding that that's a beautiful word. When I think of the English language, yes, somehow it works really well. Or just
you hear that, everybody? Yes. Say
that's
it
right, yes.
Right now.
And I tell you, when yes doesn't work, please use the word maybe. And stop right there. Don't go any further, So I just came from 3 countries that I visited teaching Seibukan Jiu-Jitsu. That was in Germany, in Switzerland, and in Hungary. And I tell you, Lori, I don't speak German.
No.
I don't speak Swiss German either, and I don't speak Hungarian. But something happened that I had a group of people there that when I say the word yes, somehow, just by nodding my head, everybody is doing the same thing, and somehow they learn it. And I say, just learn one word here today, yes, and they did. They did. And we had an incredible turnout. So now we have people over there that they just can't wait to see me again next year, and there is other countries that are involved, and more people are coming into the picture, and the art is doing an incredible service to them that is very different than the traditional martial arts that we have. This is more of a modern martial arts that believe in who we are and believe in these concepts that I'm talking about, like presence, personal power, meaning making a decision from your heart. That's personal power. And emptiness is about learning, constantly learning. So that's what I can tell you about presence.
Yeah, I love that you also put, the leader, I mean, you also have to be a student your entire life. Like, you're never done, right? And that's the actual important part of leadership is being open to learning and being a student for your entire life.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
You got to keep going. I will say, when my body's gone, it's been gone learning something. It will be gone as I am learning something, so I will never stop learning, Lori.
Yeah. There's one more thing. I mean, I know we got another 2 gates to go through, but there's something that you said now regarding the fear, and then you mentioned passion, okay? Because, obviously passion is key to leadership. In doing anything. And for me, what I did there when you mentioned that, I wrote down passion and fear right across from each other, and then between those two is commitment.
Yes.
And
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would just like you to comment on that first of all, and talk about. I mean, how do you have passion win? how do you have passion win so that you're not overwhelmed by your fears, so that you actually do take action and you're not just sitting and thinking about it and afraid and immobile? How does passion win?
I know that's a really good question, and all I can say to you is, Lori, do what you love, and love what you do. That's a simple phrase right there, and you say, well, how? That's easy to say, and I say, well, there's some steps that we can follow. Number one is listen to your intuition, and number two is follow your heart, and this is connected to the last two gates, which is the level of seeking consciousness in Seibukan Jiu-Jitsu, and then the last one is creating balance. So these last two gates, that makes it 6 and 7, and these are lead by your intuition, by observation, constantly observing things, and finally your wisdom. And all that is going to lead into how passionate you feel to do something. That's just the key ingredient in order for you to make it. Yeah, that passion is connected to those three things, and also to the last three, which is your intention, your creativity, and eventually the healing that you're receiving. Healing is the last one, which makes 21 concepts, if you can imagine, in these 7 gates. So my passion is based on that, and that keeps me going. If I feel sad, if I feel depressed, which I never do.
Wow.
But, I got to tell you something. I begin to feel sadness. I begin to feel that depression. And it's all about overwhelming situations where you got too many things to do. And then I say, okay, stop. Take a deep breath. Let's think about it again. And then I go back into my intuition, what am I feeling, again, watch what's going on, which is the observation, and trust your knowledge, which is the wisdom that we have. All the positive experience, that's all your wisdom right there. And then move directly into your intention. Where was I going? Okay, and then you get clear with your intention, and all of a sudden you start to become creative, and then you start to love it. And it feels so good that you want to go and look at the ocean, you want to sit out in front of a fire, you want to feel the breeze, you want to look at a mountain. I mean, all of a sudden you feel connected to earth, and then you say, that is my passion, is to live, is to be here. Mm-hmm. To be here, love nature, and allow nature to love me. Mm. And before you know it, what is the answer? The answer is keep going.
The answer is Y-E-S.
That's right. Keep going. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I mean, that's just wonderful. We have hit the hour here, and I would like to actually, if you wouldn't mind at this point, I know I have more questions for you, but I would like to give people that are on the call a chance to ask questions, or if you're on the webcast, perhaps we can just open that up right now for people. So if you're on the webcast, just please type your question into the control panel on the webcast. And I see your comment there, Carol. Thanks so much for letting me know about the about the elevator music that you started off the call with. So appreciate that. And thanks everybody for hanging in there and being here to receive this great content in the meantime. If you want to put your hand up, if you're on the phone, if you have a question, comment, feedback, anything, any kind of contribution, we'd love to hear from you. Just press *2 to raise your hand, and I will unmute you. And I see somebody with their hand raised here, and the last 4 digits, 9411 in Richmond, California. I think I might know who this is. So here we are. You're live. Hello.
Hi there, Julio. This is Han.
Hello, Han.
I wouldn't have missed your talk for anything. It was completely wonderful to hear you speak, and I don't really have any questions for you, but I want to just add a few things here, just a minute or so. I started studying martial arts with Julio about 20 years ago. And subsequently to getting a black belt with him, my son began to study with him. And Julio has been a mentor and a great inspiration for my son, who's gone on to be one of his instructors. He has his own school in in Alaska. But the thing that was so important to me in my training with him and in my son's training with him is my experience with Julio is not only is he a gifted teacher, a gifted martial artist, but he is one of the finest teachers that I have ever encountered in my own martial arts career. He knows how to inspire people. He knows how to boot them in the rear when they need a little boot. He knows how to push them ahead and give them some slack so that they constantly are able to do what he says is to keep going. And consequently, he not only inspires people with what he knows and his great skills as a martial artist, but he inspires with his ability to teach so that all of his teachers also become master instructors, not just master martial artists. So that is my tribute to him. He is my great friend. I love him very much, and I'm honored to be his friend. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bob. It's just wonderful. As always, you are an inspiration to me also. Thank you so much.
Aw, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thanks, you two. You're both amazing and wonderful, and I'm just so glad to know both of you, and I call you my friends. I just want to join in that circle of gratitude and with that, because you're both really phenomenal people, and I love you both. So there it is. I'll join in the circle there. I'll join in the circle. So, back again, I guess, anybody else that might have a question for us? Hana, if you're finished, I'm just going to mute you again. And anybody else that might have a question for us or comment, feedback, *2 would be what you would press. I'm going to check the webcast panel again just to check and see if anybody has entered a question there as well. I see there's still a lot of you out there, so would love to hear from you if you do feel that you want to say something, or just to even say hi, or whatever you'd like to contribute. I totally welcome your contribution, your question, your feedback. But I don't see anybody doing that. So I'm actually going to ask you another question here, Julio. Is it okay? Do you have some time, a few more minutes?
Oh, yeah, please,
okay.
Please, Laurie.
Okay, great. Okay, actually, this is a biggie. When we started off the call, and, for me, and taking Han's beautiful suggestion to express gratitude to the earth every day, and I've been doing that ever since he guided me to do that, I have to say. That connection of gratitude. What does gratitude have to do with leadership?
Well, that's a big one for me, because number one, I think about all the problems that exist in the planet, and the one that we create, and the one that we create consciously, and the one that we create in an unconscious way. The unconscious way are the ones that are connected to our habits and connected to the way we were raised, conditioning, and then we do things in an unconscious way. So now I'm becoming much more conscious, knowing that there's problems out there that we're creating. And in order for me to feel gratitude, I need to focus more in the solution and change my own mentality, that instead of creating problems, whether I know that I am or not, I need to be more focused in finding solutions. So be more solution-oriented. And I feel that that's a key factor in there to contribute in the direction of gratitude. The second thing is that as humans, we have learned and condition ourselves to not to complain, but so much to blame, because we don't want to see ourselves as the loser. So we always pointing fingers at others, and we're not taking enough responsibility to get ourselves out of the picture. And I believe that when we take responsibility by actually doing what we're supposed to be doing, rather than blaming, I feel that that's another way of experiencing gratitude, is to ourselves. And for that, it requires an honesty, and a deeper level of honesty that expresses gratitude to ourselves so we don't blame others for what happened, and just really own to that.
So that's a great point. Yeah,
so that's my way of going deeper into gratitude, because if I start with myself, then I know I will be able to appreciate others for the work that they do. So if I don't understand how am I doing it, if I don't understand how I take my own responsibility, how am I going to see others taking responsibility? I will just continue with the same game of blaming, but not seeing or guiding somebody and helping them to take responsibility, because many people just don't know how to take responsibility. So one of the things that I do in life to be grateful is, well, let me show you how you do that. And I do that through honesty and integrity of who we are. Mm-hmm. And the third thing, Lori, that comes to my mind, and I think this is just the greatest one of all three, and it's we love to complain in little things. I don't like the food, for example. I don't like this house. I don't like this car. So we just complain about so many things that we don't allow enough time to accept the things that are given to us. Meaning, instead of complaining so much, we need to practice and practice and practice appreciation. I believe that appreciation is just the greatest thing that we can have in the planet, because everything that exists is given to us, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we think that because we bought it, we paid some money or something like that, that is not given to us. Say, no, I work really hard for that. But we don't understand that a body was given to us so we can work hard for making that. So we forget about those things. We forget that hands were given to us, that feet were given to us, that a brain was given to us. And I'm saying, well, why don't we start with the five senses and appreciate everything that exists here, specifically the five senses. My eyes, my smell, my nose, my ears, just understand that you can touch things, that you can taste things. And just that, it will help you to lead in the direction of appreciation rather than complaining so much. I believe that the more we complain, the closer we are to the no. And the more we appreciate, the closer you are to the yes.
Yes. Yes.
Is that helpful?
Yes. But one thing actually popped out at me when you were talking about that, and
okay.
I want to say it's about trust. Trust.
Okay.
How do you learn to trust yourself so that you can trust others, so that you can do the things that you were meant to do, so you can face your fears? Please talk about trust.
Okay. Well, when I think of trust, what comes to my mind is that we're constantly learning. We will be learning, whether it's good things or bad things. So now, we know we have a little radar inside of us that is called intuition, that you know the things that are doing a service to you as well as is doing a service to somebody else. We really know if we tap into it. And if it's not doing a service to you or to somebody else, then you have to unlearn. Because somebody taught you some kind of negative things that are definitely is not doing the work. So we're constantly learning, and then we have to unlearn, and then the third stage is that we have to relearn. So when you relearn, it's my hope that trust comes with it in a much more deeper level than when you were learning the first time. Because the first time, we don't have a filter really right away of this is good, this is bad. We just learn. We're people to learn. We're here to learn. But then it's up to each one of us to learn how to unlearn. And when you learn how to unlearn, then you start to trust deeply into yourself, and then you relearn the things that are going to do a service to you, and it's going to do a service to others, as well as going to do a service to the planet. And to me, that's the trust is connected to that relearning constantly. You see that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the piece that I've never heard that before. So, I mean, that's, there's me. I'm learning.
There you go. I love it, Lori. There you go. That's the idea. That's it.
Here it is. If you want something experiential, please just join us on these calls because you'll experience the lesson in real time, and so will I. I'm leading these calls, facilitating these calls. So that's, yes, indeed. The trust, yes. Because, sometimes we do things and we get results maybe that we don't like or, are not what we intended. And then we have to examine, what was it in that, might have created a result that I didn't want, right? And so, yes, indeed, there is an unlearning, a reassessment, and then a relearning that allows us to trust ourselves and our action. But I have to say, after we relearn, that we have to put it into action. I would say that the action will help us trust ourselves. It's not just a matter of, saying, oh, yes, now I know I have to do that differently and next time I will. But it's like when I commit to doing it differently, when I take the step and then I have to, I actually have to trust myself to take the step.
Yeah, you do. You have to, because now you did an evaluation. You made an assessment. You did an evaluation, and it's my hope that this time you have something that you can hold on to. That means you have knowledge. Mm-hmm. You have a little bit more knowledge than you had before. And in order for me to trust, I need to have some knowledge. Mm-hmm. Yes, and as I mentioned before, trust is also connected to faith, to my belief system. So if I believe that I'm going to trust myself, then it's going to happen. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yes, to believe that I am trustworthy, to believe I can trust myself, right? Because, as you say, it's not seeing is believing, but believing is seeing, right?
Seeing, exactly. Believing is seeing. Yeah, and that's, so when you ask me, well, how do you manifest something? Well, you're just like that. You just do.
You just do.
You got to see the picture. Yeah, you got to trust the picture, and you got to stay on the path. You have to stay with it, and before you know it, there it is. It reminds me that anytime I want to, I can create a parking spot for me to park my car. And it's so easy. But I also know that it can be taken away when I don't trust myself, when I push too hard, and instead of just following this trust. And it's like, okay, I like to park in front of the dojo. The dojo is a school. So when I say I want to park in front of the school, and then all of a sudden, either the spot is already there or somebody's leaving so I can get in. And then my student said, they say, Kancho, how do you park so easy in front of the school? And I say, I just do. I believe that I can.
And therefore you do.
It's interesting because we just create these energies, and we send messages to other humans, and these messages, somebody's listening. And if they're listening, and in most cases they are, it's up to us to reinforce the message from a place of honesty and integrity. And do it at a pace that you can breathe. You cannot do this in a rush. You have to allow the natural time of life to take its course. And this is important too, Lori. If for some reason that spot is not there, let's say that parking spot is not there, and I say, wow, I did everything that I could to do this, then you take another deep breath, and then you go around one more time. You take another circle around. And you say, okay, maybe it didn't mean to happen right now for whatever reason that I don't know. There is so much stuff that is going on energetically that if it's going to do a service to me, it's no time for me to find a spot right now. So I have to trust that too, rather than getting upset.
Yes.
It's like a test. It's like a test, and I say, okay, take a deep breath. Go around the block one more time. Take your time. Enjoy the view again. Appreciate all the cars that are there. And then when you come back, all of a sudden, there's a spot. And don't question it. Just park.
Yeah. That's actually, I love that you made that point. And I would actually like just to share a very brief story from my own life lately that's really highlighting that point. I mean, the other day, I got the guidance that I needed to go into a hair salon and get my hair done, like right then. I knew I needed it. I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I need to get my hair done. And whoever I'm going to get my hair done by, that's going to be like, that's where I need to go. And I'm just going to go there and I'm going to trust and I'm going to go get my hair done. Right.
Yes. Okay.
So I had, I thought, okay, the guidance is it's going to line me up with a really wonderful hairdresser, and I'm going to find the hairdresser that I really want, and that my hair is going to look great. It's going to be exactly what I want. Now that's my expectation about what the guidance was about. Yes. Okay. Well, I went in there, and I'll tell you, my hair not so good, but I ran into a friend. And it was so interesting because she was the one that told me about this hair salon. She told me to go to somebody else, not to the person that I went to, but that's beside the point. She was there. She showed up there. Okay? I mean, I don't know what the chances are that she would be in that spot at the same time as me, but they're not very likely, right? She was there.
Yes.
And what really needed to happen was I needed some support, I guess, because I'm training for a marathon right now. And I've had some, sort of things going on in my body, giving me trouble and this sort of thing. And there was, a kind of a sadness within me around it all. And I needed to learn something, right, in order to keep going in the path that I'm going on. So when I met this friend, she had, this key for me. And she said, she heard me and she's been training alongside me, separately, but she's also training for the same marathon, and she just completed her first Ironman triathlon. And and she told me, listen, come to the class tomorrow, come to my spinning class tomorrow, don't run, just come to my class. And there, our other two friends that we're going to be going to the marathon with are also going to be there, and I'll come in half an hour early and I'll show you some muscle release exercises you can do to help yourself. And so I went to that class, and I'm telling you, I feel like I have been supported in a deeper way, more than, getting a nice haircut or anything like that could ever do for me, right? It was.
Isn't that amazing what that led into?
Yeah. So that, I just want to reinforce what you said there, because sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with that guidance, what we think it has to do with. It doesn't. It has to do with something else. And it might be even deeper support for you than you might realize. I mean, maybe, that extra trip around the block that you had to do serves you in a deeper way you don't even know about, right?
Oh, I believe that is happening energetically, and I trust that, and that's part of my gratitude. That's part of my appreciation, that I'm able to do that I say, okay, just center yourself. It's going to be fine, and just make it happen. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah. So well.
And Lori, I cannot have a story like yours, but because I have no hair. But I love your story. I love your story.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's yeah. But just what I want to say here, though, is that sometimes our mind gets fixated on what we feel is the best thing for us.
That's right. We demand to be that way sometimes.
Yeah. And that it requires, trust, but also openness to receive, right? Openness.
Opening to receive, and that's exactly what we're talking about. I believe that the more open you are to receive what is being given to you, the more trust is going to happen for future moments to create new things.
Yeah. And, I love how you started off the call with the 3 pillars of leadership: awareness, assessment, and action. And I really feel that here, we've completed the circle at the end of the call with those 3 concepts again, awareness, assessment, and action. Yeah?
We did, and that's how we also create balance, through awareness, assessment, and action. Yeah, so this has been a great talk. It's been wonderful, and I hope we had a good audience there, and maybe you will get some feedback later on. People do that sometimes, or they send the
Yeah,
same notice?
they do, you know, but I have to say, you know, people, do please give your feedback. Your voice is important. I want to hear from you. I want to hear how this information has impacted you. I want to hear your questions, so please do. Even if you don't feel to put up your hand during the call, I encourage you to send your questions or comments through to info@leaderscalltoadventure.com. Always looking forward to hearing from you. And I have to say, you know what? Like, it feeds me too, just to hear from you. Sometimes, you know, you don't understand how important what you say means, you know, what it means to me, right? A simple sentence can mean a whole lot to me sometimes in my past, you know, and just know that I really honor you and I appreciate you, and I always welcome your feedback with open arms. And on that note, I just want to also express my gratitude for you today, Julio. And I mean, my gratitude to Han for introducing me to you, and to both of you for being part of my life. I really honor you and appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yes, wonderful. Okay, Thank you very much, Laurie.
Okay, all right. So goodbye, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. And please remember, the earth is always there for you, to support you and to give you everything you need every minute of your life. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.